He finally got Atlanta. I feel like it wasn't only Clem that was vindicated, it was all Clem's fans that were vindicated. They knew he could eventually do it.
You know, people have been, every time you cast a Clem game for like a few years now, there's always been the haters in the chat, kind of in the comment section, like, oh, best TVZ in the world. Every time he loses to a Zerg, they'd be like, I thought he was the best TVZ in the world, guys. Like you've been talking about. He's almost had his own cadre of haters. And it's really nice to see him perform so well against 3 of the best Zergs in the world in the playoff, take them out, you know, one after the other. It was an incredible series of games.
Yeah, I know you want to talk about it, Marty.
No, I was just memeing because you said all the haters were like, or all the fans were vindicated as well and believing in him.
That's him.
I got kind of a hard time last year for talking apparently too much about Clem at IEM Katowice and he got owned. I was like, there's a reason we talk a lot about him because of all the great stuff that he has shown in those ESL Europe regionals online. Those were incredibly competitive tournaments. We're not talking randomly about Clem because we think he's adorable and he's never going to do something. We knew he was capable of greatness. It just somehow didn't really work out yet in Katowice. And yesterday was not a bad day, but it was also a bit of a strange day because obviously the opening series did not go his way against his teammate, who does seem to have his number often. It's like, okay, Korean TVT, that could happen. That second game against Stats, though, that was a bit odd because the Clem that I know, with a start like that, wins that game in 7 minutes. And now he still won it, but it took him 34 minutes to win it. So I'm actually very excited to see how Clem is going to do today. But Clem is damn good. Whether he shows it in Katowice or not, the kid deserves to be talked about because he is that damn talented.
I have to agree. I have to echo those sentiments, especially on the online stuff, and then now offline when it was.
还在吹牛逼啊，还在吹牛逼，不要急。
Against some of these best players, when some of the other players are going up against them, looked like a light breeze. So
我吃完了呀，我饭吃好了。完了。 不，我先看第一盘，好吧？第一盘如果形势不对，我就吃饭，我再去吃个饭。我先看第一盘。
We got Oliveira, the winner of last year's IEM Katowice. So let's get this game started with an incredible matchup, and let's meet our 2 players.
The rematch between these two from IEM Katowice 2023, where Oliveira continued to advance on and eventually won the championship, and Clem had yet another disappointing run. Will the cards be reversed this time around, and will this be the beginning of Clem actually making it forward in Katowice, or Oliveira once again surprise us all?
感谢邱老，现在我举不到。
It's crazy, right? Like Clem was already of a really high caliber, but the fact that he's been leveling up since then, I feel that he's really broke a few seals. Gamers 8, he got top 4, he beat Maru to make it there, which was a
先看看第一把，你们不要慌。
on the planet. The fact that he did that, and then finally Atlanta came along. There was that game in Alsania, I'll never forget it, where I thought Clem's dead, but he hung in there.
他们队服都没做新的吗？这个强爽不应该去掉了。
Won the whole thing, and ever since the World Team League, he went full.
先挂个近铁，我靠！再挂个貔貅的飞机。
A different beast that Oliveira's going up against this time.
I absolutely agree about that. It's also a very different meta.
貔貅的飞机也挂上去，近铁也挂上去。
The maps have been out for a while, actually, yet it was only 2 months ago at that Atlanta DreamHack that we saw such a drastic change. And so Clem, he hasn't really been doing the whole 2030 Cyclones, but he absolutely has been Cyclones.
来把狗哥和韭菜的也挂上去。
What Oliveira was doing, because I had a lot of questions going into this group about what every Terran would be doing to approach this new meta. And Oliveira versus Bunny, we had actually a very typical non-Cyclone dependent TVT to begin with, and then he played Cyclones in game 2. So Oliveira definitely needs to experiment, I think, more so than Clem.
但我感觉李培南赢克莱姆还挺难的，因为克莱姆现在 TVT 很强。
goes with the water, goes with the flow a little bit more, whereas Clem's very set in stone about how he wants to do things. And I mean,
好了，第一场马上要开了。
Very successful at what they do, and this is going to be chaos between these two. It's going to be volatile, extremely volatile. TVT is turning into the
来了，看一下出点位，这边红色的人族选手就是来自于法国的 Clem， 出现在了右上角2点钟位置。 左下角红色的人族选手就是来自于我们中国的李培南、奥利维拉，8点钟位置。李培南接下来的比赛都很关键啊，非常关键。他每一场比赛只要拿下一场，拿下一场 BO3， 他就能够出现。我靠，你妈，这个画面整的还可以啊！这个画面整的还可以啊！有点小帅，这个画面。开局都一样的，双方镜像开局，2气，一点都不偷。他这个主要就是看你镜像开局。
exact build order to begin with. The factory expand just making up probably 80% of TVTs, the occasional 1 racks, and well, obviously, I guess the occasional 2 racks as well. On the forward
上来区别不大，这边探路的时间也差不多。
For a lot of players, it gives you the defensive option in case you are being cheesed, of course, but then it also gives you that flexibility of being the harasser in the early game into still a very solid macro game, which, you know, Clem did have some struggle against Cure as far as the build order. We've seen some of these Terrans sneaking these super greedy builds and the opposite.
今天现场好早啊，来的人。这个应该是波兰的下午，下午就已经人就已经坐满了。
Like Oliveira was experimenting with Cyclone and Mech, and that is outside the box more so.
都是一死神2 VF， 哦，一死神直接接 VF 啊，然后接了个双倍里面。Clem 是接了第2个死神 ，Clem 是2死神，然后要野吗？ 没有啊，停了一下。2死神带一个农民，强压李平南。李平南开矿，这个可能会被压到东西啊。他农民吃第1个火力，还行，李平南这里操作赚了，摸到还漂亮，漂亮操作爆他。克莱姆的有一次输出是打到农民上面。 那这样的话，克莱姆前期整个运营就亏了。李平南他的双倍要比克莱姆要挂得快一点。李平南接下来转的是火车死神，克莱姆直接挂双倍走导弹车了。 李平南还要压，他这边是死神带火车强压。感谢这个兄弟送的音效飞机啊，感谢兄弟。好了，来了。这边敢不敢墙上？马上2个导弹出来了，没有用啊！这波墙上，李平南还在续死神，还在续死神。这边是要强压一波了。3火车3死神，在这边要伏击3个导弹车，打不过啊！这3个导弹车，看到了，打得过吗？打不过啊！他墙上。 他要墙上吃第1个导弹车，炸一下，后面再接2个死神，吃第2个导弹车，又接了2个死神，吃第3个。我靠，李平南这个开局感觉有些针对这个三导弹车开局。克莱姆幸好是一个运输机救了一下，不然的话他直接人没了。李平南还在强压。 他后面接的这2个死神输出一下就起来了。克莱姆开局又亏了，李平南现在打得非常的主动。2个人互相投导弹车，李平南3基地甩出去了。整个节奏上来说的话，李平南运营要比克莱姆要快一些。但是这个3基地甩下去之后的话，会不会导致他 会不会导致他的这个防守会出一些问题啊？兵力会不会不够？好，这边先打一下，两个死神其实可以穿家了，两个死神穿家打双线，两个人在对捅。这个是两个人对捅，两个死神穿家了，互相换农民。差不多换下来，但是克莱姆两个导弹车没死，没有死两个导弹车。这波交换里佩丹亏了，亏了双线抗压能力上面有些差距。哇，这个双线抗压真的是有差距，亏了，这个绝对是亏了。按道理来说，他应该取得更多的一个。取得一个更多的东西的，但是因为克莱姆的双线抗压比他厉害一些，亏了。感谢加油天天跌停的一个飞机，感谢。这个不好打了，这个一来一回，克莱姆已经占到便宜了。就这个3基地拍的太早了，说白了，导致他的兵要少一点。克莱姆感觉要强上啊！这里拖农民，李平台要拖农民吗？围巾过来还行，这个围巾救了命啊，救了命。
Oliveira kind of has to buckle on up now. Like he has to sit down, hunker on up. Has to wait for a few upgrades, maybe more tanks to move out slowly.
现在双方
leaning into the cyclones a lot here. I'm not sure what else he can get done.
交换了一下攻守节奏之后的话，还是克莱姆有优势，他农民要多一点。
I think it used an auditor on the defense, really ruined the potential that could have been there, even with 2
农民稍微要多一些，科技也要快一点，他的渡鸦的锁应该已经升好了。克莱姆5兵营也开下去了，李平南这边5兵营应该也差不多了。2兵拍好，直接再拍2兵营，落后一点点吧，落后几个农民。
If you do successfully move across the map with the tanks against the cyclones, your army sieges up, your army is better. But that is the trick, as you were saying, to actually move out on the map in the foreseeable future.
一攻一防都点了，兴奋剂慢很多啊！李平南做兴奋剂啊，兴奋剂慢1个身位，只能防守了。现在主要看克莱姆的进攻能不能占到便宜，现在只能防守。
Getting a very nice scout here, gets confirmed that okay, it's not a mech follow, but you don't really expect that from Clem anyway these days. But Stim online a lot faster for Clem here as well, and that work account that you talked about.
导弹车很多。李培南是双升的，他是盾牌和兴奋剂一起升的。这样的话，他的盾牌要比克莱姆要快一些。但正面别人有锁啊，克莱姆打双线，有防守问题不大，有防守，反应也很快啊，双方反应都很快。还是前期的这点优势，克莱姆一直运营保持着，他应该要打个1攻1防的timing，克莱姆可能。李培南落后20人口了，20不过1轮兵的事情啊，其实就是1轮兵，战斗人口是一样的，58打59，农民少4个，人口已经追回来了。李培南这边，李培南这个可以啊，而且盾牌要比克莱姆要快。他盾牌应该已经好了，克莱姆没有盾牌，两个人交火了，这个地方，再绕一下，双方都有3个锁，直接锁一个，直接上。李培南有盾牌，炸了一下，但是后面的，哎呀，这个，这个进攻操作失误巨大呀！他的渡鸦怎么会没有把东西炸出来？这没了，这把没了。这个操作失误太大了，他有盾牌的，战斗人口一样有盾牌，为什么会突然打成40人口的差距啊？ 哎，算了，我吃饭去。你们他妈的都要说我吃饭去，你们自己看吧，烦死了。
6 SCVs, I want to say, despite having that faster third CEC. I think the problem of that growing tank count and the faster addition of the Marines, it would actually be a problem. But that worked out really, really well. Clearly, Oliveira bit off more than he could chew because he could have taken that a little more cautiously. He could have siege hopped his tanks, and he didn't. He just thought that he would find Clem as the one to retreat. Was maybe a little eager, guessing that he got the interference matrix off faster. His Ravens also only really got that interference matrix off, and the anti-armor missile, sorry, but the missile turrets that he was going to plant down, all the Ravens got destroyed before they could do it.
Yeah, I mean, that fight 100% came down to Ravens. 100%. Clem kept his alive for a lot longer. I think I saw like 1, maybe 2 kind of full energy Ravens there dropping, and you saw Oliveira shake his head because it's like, you can't let that happen. The turrets, they deal great damage. They're great at tanking. And in these kind of skirmishes where you've got fairly similar armies, but you've got 8 more turrets or whatever going down, yeah, he knew that he made quite a big error there. And I'm very curious what he's going to bring in game 2, because these openings, they're losing the Reaper initially, getting the little SCV kill. That's definitely an edge that you look at and you're like, hey, I'm winning this TVT so far. This can absolutely be in my favor. I wonder what he's going to change in the follow-up.
Yeah, again, he went for that mech after versus Bunny, but to throw it out again, I'm not sure it's dependable, but to try and play a bigger Cyclone game, that he actually might try and do, especially if he believes that he can actually out-micro his opponent, seeing as there was some evidence to at least those smaller skirmishes. I can't speak today. Skirmishes.
It's early. You know, we haven't had enough tea yet. As Roddy would say, he's drinking so much tea in the green room right now. Calls himself lame for it. But no, I mean, like, Cure, like, one thing that really surprised me yesterday was the fact that Cure was like, Clem's really good in late game. I don't want to go there with him. And it was like, what? So you wanted to win early game and stuff against Clem, which super surprises me, because to me, I'm like, Cure, you're a late game strategist. Like, you're slow and methodical, whereas Clem, he's fast and agile, but he made things happen, nice concaves and stuff. Like this, though, between these two, I don't think they have an off button, right? Like, it's all about go, go, go.
Pretty much. They are spawning onto a large map. Hecate in the top right, now up 1-0. He is Team Liquid's Clem.
And her in the bottom left, the reigning IEM Katowice champion, it is Oliveira.
Both ending up in groups or a TVT is absolutely one of the bigger testing grounds. If you're fantastic in this matchup, you're pretty much guaranteed to get through, actually, to defeat the other 3 Terrans that are here. But it's been difficult to call, and probably more so for the players who are trying to determine exactly where everyone is at mentally as far as their take on the matchup. And, you know, like that, what you're just talking about would have been evidence, I think, to just the unexpected, which is like, oh, Cure, macro guy, late game. All right, cool. And then, oh, no, he wants to defeat the early game? Okay, that's completely different. Not to mention the Cyclone versus no Cyclone, the occasional mech that we are seeing, the obvious pitfalls of TVT in general, which are the proxies and doom drops. And there is a lot to speculate on, but we do know that the openers, again, rely heavily on the factory expand, generally going into a couple of Cyclones, and then it's more about tracking how many Cyclones and how many SCVs go down when that eventual SCV trade seems to happen, especially between 2 players like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Clem being a tiny bit greedier, but both going for the same openings. He's just not gone for a scout this game. I do wonder how much they both know about one another. They both got to see at least a recent TVT of yesterday against different opponents. Cure against Clem, obviously, and Bunny against Oliveira. But yeah, that to me, the way that they're playing so far, going for double gas opening, just kind of spells confidence, right?
Yeah, I do think Clem is, he's been playing a lot of customs, so I know a little bit more about Clem's situation than Oliveira's, but obviously the whole talk of the town for Katowice actually has been that everyone's been really trying to find as many customs to play without obviously giving the advantage to their potential opponent.
Yeah, I saw players in the green room yesterday, they're like, that guy was laddering for the tournament. And it's like, yeah, I mean, like, customs right now, everybody here is so damn good. Like, they really are. They've all been stepping it up. And we do see a slight deviation out of Oliveira's build this time, not going for the early reactor to get things going. Clem going straight for the Cyclones, as is Oliveira. This is almost as mirrored as you can be in this situation.
Yep, exactly. One thing I know that Clem must be practicing with who he's practiced with is the Terrans who do not necessarily go all in on the Cyclones. So I think he has shown maybe some weaknesses to the very solid buildup of tanks and classic TVT that doesn't just straight up lose the Cyclone overwhelming. He's had some problems in the last couple of weeks, making sure that his Cyclones can be in position, find the damage necessary to make up for those deficits that we were talking about, and then making sure that that eventual fight we saw in the last game actually works out. So he's really improved in that regard. And that's going to be scary then, because it seems like he can dominate in Cyclone versus Cyclone, but then also is comfortable against a more regular TVT.
Oliveira is going for something very interesting here. I think he's going for an uber-fast third base and skipping out on the starport for now, which to me feels greedy. Like, it does feel greedy, so...
You got a starport.
He gets a starport, but it's very late. Like, the tech lab's already being made for Clem's starport on his side. He's got the third gas much earlier. Just a little bit different, and they're both going out of Cyclones now, so... Already very different, very peculiar, and it is a very, very fast third from Oliveira. So you can see some of the corners that he's cut here, and he's hoping to make this game go on a little bit longer so he can really benefit from that extra eco he's going to get.
Yeah, absolutely. Still eyeing that faster third base, but I don't believe this was as fast as Cures yesterday, which really was just so shockingly fast and a potentially aggressive matchup that by the time that Clem did something, it had already kind of given that effectiveness of it, and obviously the defense had already been made. But like I had said before the show, it's one of those things where I think Clem might be a little more gung-ho about it, but this is actually the game when he chooses to go for his own tank here. It's not the medevac drop with Cyclones, it's not you know, up to 8 Cyclones looking for the attack. That doesn't necessarily put him at disadvantage, by the way. I'm just, you know, it means that he's not going to be aggressive off the bat. What it could mean is that it is very much classic TVT, where Clem's the first one to push out with Tank Raven, and is going to try and control Oliveira's attempt to take the third CC on location.
Yeah, one thing that is different about this map, the main base is so much bigger, so getting over to that mineral line is very, very different on this map. Maybe kind of saying that Cyclones aren't as good when they're doing all the drop shenanigans, so maybe that comes into play with both of them. But yeah, we're getting into a proper setup between both of them. Stim starting at the same time, both getting the Ravens online. Nice little cheeky scout from Clem. We'll get some info here that it is extra barracks going down, so gets the confirmation that it's at least Bar that he's going up against.
So we got ourselves a very classic TVT. Now the question is, who is the better player at this? This is where I would specifically say Clem is a much more improved TVT player compared to last year's Katowice, just being able to see his growth against the ever-stable Hero Maroon in the Open Cup, but as well as seeing him finally take down his nemesis, that was the Korean Terran, and particularly Maru at Gamers 8. He has proven that he has become much better at this standard matchup to the point that Kure apparently was terrified of it. Is Oliveira in the same boat, or is Oliveira similar to last year's skill? Is he just flat? Is he going to get now totally overwhelmed? I don't think so. He's actually playing very, very well. But this is time for Clem to show off what he's learned in the last year without having to worry about that pesky different meta.
And we've got to remember, like, what situation these both are in the group. Oliveira is already 2-0. If he won this as well, that's looking so damn good for him advancing, whereas Clem, this is kind of, I don't want to say a must-win situation, but it almost is. I mean, you can go out the groups with like pretty decent map scores and stuff, but already getting a map on the game, on the board here, very nice for him. And they're both so damn aware of what the other one's doing. It's just it cost Clem pretty much nothing getting the Reaper in, whereas Oliveira had to scan here.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a difference. We see Clem also ahead a few, or literally one, where it's like 1.5 as they continue to build SCVs. Auto turret harassment's looking to change that. Says, uh-oh, the focus fire is a little off here.
MMA, is that you?
We might want to fix that. And Oliveira, not really finding the direct damage, but...
Oh, no.
But okay. It's a really loud sound, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was there live when MMA did that, and it was like the worst thing of all time kind of thing, but then he still won. I was like, oh my goodness. All right. So, used a lot of the Raven energy to accomplish not that much.
No.
And when I see these 3 full energy Ravens, and we know how well they can be used, once Combat Shield comes online, that's when these players will start to feel like they can venture out on the map a little bit.
Yes.
Very important, because tanks, if you stim without the Combat Shields, they get 1 shot. gives your Marine so much more longevity and so much more damage potential.
And not only the Ravens not have energy, but Oliveira, I guess, in the focus of that run by, got pretty supply blocked. For, you know, he's building 4 sleepers at a time. I'm just bringing up a very detailed point because otherwise this game has been very similar, very much mirror. It's a little bit of the decisions now changing, using the Ravens for the auto turrets, going immediately into the 2 medevac drop, which is trying to find Clem that awkward, just like I'm not expecting to be attacked yet, right? And it kind of has. 1 tank in the 3rd base is helping. Another one tries to siege up, and that will barely be enough to stop Oliveira from racing into the mineral line.
That was cheeky by Oliveira going for something like that, because you don't really expect the medevacs to be out on the map like that. And Oliveira's really showcasing that he wants to be in the face, and we know that about him. And Clem, far more willing to be the player that's sitting back. This doesn't feel like it's truly his comfort zone, but so far he's doing a good job of it. He's got a higher SCV count. They're both very good about starting the upgrades on time as well. It's just, it's far easier being the attacker, I think, in these kind of situations.
You do get to control the flow a little bit. Obviously, you get to threaten the medevac drops as well, which is exactly what Oliveira is going to go for, of course. There's a missile turret, I believe, but not really in range to help out here. The counter drop from Clem into his own base. The Ravens trying to slap down the auto turrets, but then gunned down. But it looks like by taking the tank out of the equation, a good old concave from Clem with the last few Marines will be enough. Oliveira still trying to make some damage happen, however, lands on top of the tanks of his opponent. SCV's pulled in to try and help, and that will be good enough. Clem still holding on to his economy, but now down 20 army supply, and he's missing +2 armor on the way.
Yeah, that's actually a massive deal in this matchup, and Oliveira is not going to let up here. He's just going absolutely balls to the wall over here, and Clem, he's like, you know what? You like dropping, I like dropping too. Let's see where this goes. But Oliveira is already there, already dealing damage. Starport no longer medevacs can be on the field. That's a massive deal, and you very rightly pointed out, missing +2 armor, that's going to be huge if this game continues, but will it? Chaos ensues on both sides.
Yeah, Clem's drop outside of any vision range, and no sensor tower gets to go into that 3rd CC of Oliveira, kills all the SCVs, and is now maybe going to tackle some of the reinforcements. 1 tank is sieged up, that's going to guard the natural from Clem, but the main base might be a different question, as Clem is also still in the defense purely on tanks, back on his own 3rd, and they are getting concave, they are getting surrounded. He chooses to evacuate, and that is a very wise decision indeed, because he did kill Oliveira's 3rd CC. Clem now with a substantial worker lead and holding on to the army, but also the upgrades could be a problem if this continues to be a low econ, dicey back and forth situation.
Oh, I mean, this is wild at this point. Remember that starport getting killed really subdued the amount of medevacs can actually be on the field. And Clem, he's got more supply. But remember, the army value, the army supply of Oliveira is bigger. +2/2 is online, or at least coming online as well. So his Marines will trade out a little bit better. And that many workers, 47 out of 14 on that natural, that is so damn oversaturated, but he doesn't have a choice.
Yeah, of course not. Obviously, Clem just lost another base, too. I don't know if Oliveira lost 2 or 1. I'm going to check on that, as we do watch Oliveira just chokehold his opponent. Yes, it was 2 for Oliveira, so Clem obviously still coming out ahead with also this huge SCV lead. Should he ever get back to 3-base mining, he will just jump far ahead, but now we actually have the attempted break coming in. It doesn't look so hot. The tanks are taken out, and now Oliveira might not have enough units to take advantage of this +2 armor upgrade, although the units on the backside from Clem don't really get to help out. Oliveira holds on to his bio, but he's only down to 1 tank.
Yeah, that's huge. Clem with 5 tanks available, they are going to be the absolute backbone in his army, and losing that many SCVs wasn't actually that bad for him. Like, he had to break out of that at some point, and now the army values neck and neck, 63 apiece, 112 supply versus 108. Clem still with a slight edge, but that's mainly due to the tanks. But he has to be careful, because, yeah, the bio doesn't trade as well as he can. He is upgrading the +2 armor, so will be able to get back on track. But Oliveira, he needs to get more done. I think he floated over his main amidst all this as well, just showing how desperate he is.
Yeah, he absolutely has. Takes a good concave with the upgrade advantage. Only 1 tank helping out so far. 2nd tank on the backside. 3rd now trying to siege up too. It's not going to be good enough for Oliveira to break Clem, but it does break the 3rd CC. Clem, if he actually gets to saturate that and mine off of a decent amount of time, might even be able to start a +3 attack, which could be huge, but he is having trouble being able to do so. Oliveira absolutely not out of this game yet, as Clem is purely on the defensive. No gambly attack for him going across the map. He is going to try and break out, and Oliveira's lone tank won't stop that, but the upgrades, that's always in the back, right? That's always why these Marine fights never go the way of Clem, even though it looks like the numbers are similar.
Yeah, I mean, Oliveira's been in his face right from the get-go, hasn't he? 109 supply against 115. Clem, if he goes over and scouts this base, which is absolutely naked, by the way, this could be a lot of damage done. It's got to be said, the way that Clem attacked with just that drop straight away, he did so much more damage, I feel, than what Oliveira did with continued drop attempts. And, oh, Clem's ready for it this time in the main. Stopping at him, but they're all naked.
Oh, no, that's so much money down the drain. Oliveira was distracted at the perfect second as Clem's attack went into the third, finding a couple of SCVs as well and still holding on, but Oliveira is looking for the break, does jump on top of the tanks, takes them out, and Clem's very few Marines with equal upgrades at this point, but just not the numbers, are forced to flee. That third CC now under fire. The SCVs have to go and repair it. The tank siege is up. The SCVs will get the save, but Oliveira has once again equalized the amount of minerals that they are able to mine from, which is really what he needs to do here as he still looks for the engagements.
Oh, I mean, this is so close between them. It is really so close, but this from Clem. Where is Oliveira's army to stop it? Just a handful of Marines here, a Liberator. That's not going to do the drop. Gets taken out straight away, and Clem's getting a lot done with very little on the other side of the map. This is buying him so much time, and I mean, we knew it was going to be volatile and explosive, Jess, but we did not think it was going to be quite like this.
I love it, though, because in an ideal world, this is how I imagine Clem Oliveira going all the time. Maybe also a cheeky, like, 2 racks versus 2 racks that gets into a base rate. That is such a great way to watch these two play against each other. And the consistent drops are going to continue. Even though Clem was able to kill 6 medevacs basically for free, Clem also looking to invest into the vehicle weapon is actually a really nice thing to do with very limited amount of money. He does still have a good amount of tanks, and making them even more effective as he's trying to turtle up on his 3 bases could be huge. 1 tank in the main base, not quite helping out in the production. More reinforcements coming. It does look like the hold is going to happen, but it's Oliveira taking a thorn in Clem's side and constantly reminding him that he cannot feel comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Oliveira has to be so careful here. He's going to have +3 finish fairly soon, but he can't get much more done here, and he knows it has to be so careful about these medevacs. Does get on out of there. Maybe going to try and go for a drop. Oh, I love the Liberator over here. That's a really cool use out of that.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's not going to be able to support the Liberator. So while the Liberator did, I think, actually it's worth the money used there, it didn't lead to the next thing. It wasn't the thing that started the domino effect, and Clem is just so freaking pesky with these 8 Marines, now 7, and a single medevac. Oh, finally, justice. Oliveira takes it down, and now he can focus up a little bit on his own 3 bases. Again, he is lifting his natural at this point, whereas Clem has a legitimate third.
I mean, every TVT player has been in this position where you know you're struggling, you know you're kind of broke as a joke, and you see sensor towers going up for your opponent, and it's just like, I'm behind, aren't I? Like, I need to do something. I need to keep on attacking. And Oliveira, I don't think he's ever going to stop here, but the fact that Clem's drop got killed in the south by the returning army, kind of like a breath of relief for Clem. Now he gets to grow a little bit, gets to do his own thing, taking an extra CC as well, but supplies are still relatively close.
Yeah, I do fear that's going to change in just even 30 seconds. Maybe might take a minute, but we can see that we can now get the triple red arrows. That's a substantial economic lead for Clem that's not being interrupted constantly, which is what was happening when Oliveira could do the attacks in the third, could get the drops into the main base, and Clem even finding the resources and time to start a +3 armor and +2 tank attack, which he's going to save those tanks. Was thinking about moving out, but Oliveira back on the offensive.
And you talked about the +1 tank upgrades. Big, getting +2 online means you go back to one-shotting those Stim Marines with tanks. So the clock is on for Oliveira. He hasn't started off +3 armor, hasn't started off any tank upgrades either. And his gas bank, it's big, but he's been relying off 1 factory only for the time being. So this is a very, very Marine-heavy army, and it has a clock. It has a doomsday. And here, Clem coming in again with a drop over to the left side. He's going to win this fight outright. And Oliveira's economy in absolute shambles.
Yeah, this is just such a sore point for Oliveira. He has not been able to reliably defend his third base, even that time with a sensor tower, because he has to be so aggressive. So it is going to be likely there's not enough reinforcements or not appropriately timed reinforcements. But good old Doom drops are a really good way to come back in any TVT, and that is one heck of one. Finally jumping on top of the production, most of the production as well. This is Clem at his most surprised in the last like 6 drop attempts. So he is losing a ton of his resources, and now he has to run up his own ramp. He will be able to do so, as well as a cheeky drop behind the tanks there. Really nicely done by Clem, who's looking to break this, and with this break, possibly take the 2-0.
That was big. I mean, great positioning by Oliveira, getting in there, not only in the main base dealing with production, but got to flak on this mineral line here on this south base. And guess what? He's not slowing down. That is so many Marines. Is Oliveira pulling himself back into this game?
He might be. That was medevacless Marines. They're just running and gunning. It is happening in CS. It's happening in StarCraft. Just go, go, go. As they also jump on top of this 4th command center. It is burning. It is away from any SCVs. But now the medevacless Marines with a stim on them and about to be out upgraded are caught in a really weird situation. There's that +3 armor. The medevac's healing as well. One of them is still full of units. And Oliveira might just be able to escape, but with only a handful of Marines. At the end of the day, he is still down 30 supply.
Yeah, he's very down. I mean, what's his medevac count? I mean, he keeps flying them off into the base. He's still on a decent number, but that tank count's on me, but I can't help, like, wherever he gets attacked, he's in trouble. He can't deal with the Marines half as well as Clem can when he's actually there. And Clem, he's stabling down again. I mean, the map, it looks fairly close in the way that they're both situated on 4 bases, but it's not 4 base at all for either one of them. CCs are missing here and there. Oliveira is still looking for these pounces at any opportunity.
Yeah, unfortunately, that base did survive, and it's turning into a planetary, although not fully repaired. Now it is getting fully repaired, but not quick enough. +3 attack Marines, still pretty freaking good, and Clem has underestimated their potential, perhaps. There's the rest of the army. He does still have the numbers, and as they come forward, they will hold the line as far as his natural goes, whereas now, by the way, where all of his production is, things are not done yet, despite Clem getting the superior upgrade. A drop going on top of Oliveira's reinforcements now alerts Oliveira to this. He has to run back home before those tanks get sieged. There's so many of them. Breaking this is going to be extremely difficult for our Blue Terran.
It really is, and this is the one thing Oliveira didn't want. Oh no, they run into the meat grinder over there. The tanks are surrounded, they are getting taken out, but at what cost? Oliveira had so much money in that amount of Marines. They both clean one another up, but I think that trade worked out a lot better for Clem. Although I say that, where did that... I mean, the 4th base died early, didn't it? I don't know. Yeah. He's actually mining a lot less now. This is crazy.
Yeah, again, those arrows pointing the opposite direction at this point as he finally lifts his own command center. And he does still have more SCVs so that when he gets minerals, he'll be better. But we got just continued snipes on command centers, apparently, as this one actually will survive. I think 2 tanks trying to protect it. SCV still able to repair it. Clem still holds on to the supply lead, still has the upgrade lead. The bio upgrade lead is about to dissipate, but that +2 tank absolutely helped that last battle, because otherwise Oliveira's surround was promising.
Absolutely. It was so brutal to see, right? They just kind of marched in like 2 by 2. Absolutely brutal game between these two, and still not a clear definitive winner, but that mining, they're evenly bad over here. It's like they've got 3 mineral patches apiece, and look at this, having to float over their only 2 orbitals to very peripheral bases. What a TVT we're getting here.
Yeah, as you can see, Clem just skyrockets ahead now that his SCVs have been transferred, but they're not protected, unfortunately. The Marine drops will continue on the 3rd and 4th bases, and this is going to find so much damage. The command center is absolutely going to go down. The SCVs without a hope of escape, and Clem knows he's got to do something. He can't return home. He's too far out in the map, so he's going to go across and try and break Oliveira's 3rd base, but Oliveira has siege tanks, but they can't shoot up. Only 4 Marines to help out, and Clem is going to take on his opponent's army, take down his opponent's economy. The supplies remain even, but it is once again a situation where that +2 vehicle might just be the one that saves the day when it comes down to a legitimate base race.
I mean, Oliveira all credit to him because he's had to be so damn crazy to claw his way back into this game. Every move he's been doing, crazy. The amount of doom drops he's been doing, it has caught that final one there. I was like, oh my god, Clem's actually officially behind now. But Clem doing the same thing back. He's having to play Oliveira's game against him, which is just total chaos. 11 SCVs each, 22 minutes in. What is happening?
That is amazing. This is such a sick TVT. One command center, 11 SCVs apiece, a slight army supply lead for Clem, but most importantly, the tanks. The tanks are active. Oliveira knows that that is still the problem point, unless he gets one hell of a concave and Clem isn't paying attention. He's going to try and go into the main base again, but oh, just not enough space to the right, and that is it. Clem is going to deny Oliveira the opportunity to make a comeback like last year, get the 2-0, and get another win on the board.
That was so important for Clem. You could tell how much it meant to him. That game, at that moment where he lost that base at 12 o'clock, that last thing there, I saw him on the webcam where he's like, kind of went into his chair a little bit. He's like, oh no, this is absolutely brutal. Lost like a good 25 SVs, lost the CC, but then he did it back to him and gets himself back in. What a back and forth between them, so important. He's now 2-1 in the group, and that
只能说太精彩了。最后这个抉择稍微出了点问题，但是最后坦克没有攻防，可惜了。最后他坦克没攻防，可惜了。其实打得非常精彩，胜负就一线之间，一个操作失误可能就胜负，差不多吧，跟克莱姆这个水平。不是弹幕，我觉得玩玩梗就好了，好吧？不要这个妈的入戏太深。这打得那么精彩的情况下，有些可惜啊，有些可惜，差一点点，就一口气的事情，一两个小的失误吧，可能只能说。
Absolutely, this is a real tight group. Both these guys have been displaying pretty solid TVT, especially in today's series. Like this was super hype.
接下来打 Q 尔，在 B 频道打 Q 尔，可能要稍微等一等。这场相当精彩。
Wild. I'm almost breathless after it. You know, like. I can't believe how wild Oliveira was playing.
Absolutely wild. And now we are going to be able to hear from Clem on the
我去 B 频道了。
Thank you both so much. What an exciting two.
可能要采访一下克莱姆，先看一看采访吧。
For picking up the win in that one, especially that second map right there. Tell me a little bit about how it felt to be so close. Did it feel as close as it looked from watching here in the audience?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I felt like I was winning for a while, but then it got very scary and it started killing like all of my bases, all of my CCs. Then I had to leave my main base, and I had to leave my natural, and I was like, oh, it's slipping out of hand. And the doom drops as well. I kind of brought him back into the game a little bit, I think, and yeah, it definitely was very close.
Was there ever a moment that you thought maybe I just type 1G, maybe 2 Gs now? You stuck it out, but you didn't.
Nah, I actually thought I was pretty dead once he killed my top base. With like a pack of Marine towards the end, he killed my top base. He killed like 26 SCVs. But then I did the same on the other side. I killed his CC, I killed his tanks. So I was like, okay,
感谢牛奶潘慧全家安康的飞机，感谢兄弟。
Base running a little bit, and yeah. In the end, I'm not sure if he was like super dead. In my mind he still had some mining and stuff, but because he went for the doom drop or like tried to go for the doom drop, I guess he was in big trouble at the very end there.
Yeah, you were almost identical situations. It was incredible that you were able to pull it out there, and pulling out a victory in this group right now, huge for the tournament at large. Tell me a little bit about what kind of weight this takes off your shoulders, or does it?
Yeah, I think it was definitely one of the most important best of threes of the group for me, and especially because he was first place, so now it puts me in a really good spot. And then winning 2-0 twice and then losing 2-1 is also pretty nice for me.
Well, there's still a long ways to go, but congratulations. You can rest easy after that match. Let's take a closer look at it with our analysts.
好了，去 B 频道了，希望李平南调整一下自己的这个状态啊，调整一下自己的状态。我去撒个尿去。 哎呀，这最后那个失误也不叫失误吧，他最后想搏一枪，想全部投上去搏一枪。我觉得抉择倒没什么错，只是克莱姆反应有点快，点了他2传兵。感谢老仙在前战绩天天5胜的一个飞机，感谢兄弟。点了他2传兵，然后他心态炸了，最后。但其实胜负就是一念之间。如果打正面他可能打不了，因为克莱姆坦克2攻，有点可惜吧，只能说有点可惜。特别是克莱姆最后投他3个坦克的时候，他那个地方的确兵不够啊，的确是兵不够。他当时的兵分的太多了出去，他如果只分2传兵出去，端克莱姆的矿，克莱姆再冲，克莱姆就输了。他最后那波分兵分多了，他分了4传兵还是5传兵出去，他想最后搏一枪，直接把克莱姆所有全部端了。但你看，如果打得冷静一点的话，一般来说2传兵能端就端了，对不对？你端不了，你多的兵也端不了。最后分兵稍微分多了一点，他如果再留个1传兵到2传兵，在家里面护着那3个坦克，他就赢了。有些可惜，但是打到这个阶段，一般来说不会那么冷静，这场比赛太接近了，打得非常接近。这种东西就抉择问题，我觉得打下来李培南 TVT 水平还是很高的，非常高啊！大家输赢没有什么，这种输了没有什么，就大家差不多水平，非常精彩啊！全场的快节奏对打。接下来就今天还有一场跟 Q2 的比赛，马上16分钟之后。大家不玩梗啊，不玩梗啊，该解说解说，该直播直播，玩一盘梗差不多了。现在就李平南要迅速的调整一下自己的一个心态，其实对他来说的话，对吧？还是只要拿1个波3，他就出现了，不用太心急，也不用太紧张，把自己实力发挥出来就行了。我不理那些玩梗的了，玩梗的就封掉就好了，我不理他们就好了，这个没什么的。倒计时重置了，你妈他个鸡什么情况？倒计时怎么重置了？那趁着这个时间我来打个广告算了。妈的，他重置了，因为今天刚好有一个2五仔啊，他在那个松下上班，然后他过来做了个合作，我给你们看一看，他给我寄了个东西，一个蛮飘逸的东西。你们看一眼，等一下，我开一下摄像头。